Okay, so as far as the dog goes home, there's about 4 major steps. First step is make your dog think they went to Disney World. Leave your rules and your commands out for 1 to 3 days. You have to read the dog and see. When they first go there, they're gonna be smelling different things, looking around, smelling you, trying to figure out where they went and what happened in their life. So you don't want to start with sit, heel, sit, heel. You want to take the ball, roll the ball around, play with it, get real fun and exciting, let the dog just have a lot of fun. And then after you see for a day or so, hey, this dog's really excited and warming up to us, we're gonna go into some obedience work. So first step is just transitioning the dog over. So after the dog gets used to the new environment and the new setup with all the new people, one person's going to take the dog into the backyard with no distractions, and they're going to start with their leash. They're going to walk and sit the dog over and over and over at heel. And this person will do this for 2 or 3 days. The dog's going to get used to the speed that you walk. The dog's going to get used to if you're a loud person or if you're soft-spoken. You're going to get used to if you stop fast or if you come to a slow, gradual stop. And after 3 or 4 days of walking and sitting in heel, using your leash to help enforce it, then from there, we would go to the e-collar. The collar that we use is a Garmin Sport Pro. This collar on the first and second setting, 90% of the people that come here and we do work with their dogs, they can't even feel it on their hand. It's very light, very sensitive collar. The higher numbers do have a lot to them, but the lower numbers are very mild and very weak. If you use the collar to get the dog responding to you during about day 4 through 6 of your obedience work, then you can start adding multiple people in there. You add a second person in for 2 or 3 days. Then after they've walked the dog for 2 or 3 days with the leash, you can use the collar to enforce the commands with them, and then the next person, and then the next person. So you can add 3, 4, 5 people that she has to listen to and that she wants to listen to. You don't want to go in there with the new people and after they've just been walking her for 30 seconds and she's just getting to know them, start to use the collar. Let each person use the leash for a couple days and then use the collar to enforce it. If you don't want to use the collar, you can use the leash and you can do 4, 5, 6 weeks of leash work and make sure the dog understands that they need to respond to you with the leash. And then you can let them drag the leash and wean them off of the leash. There's no leash involved at all. But if the dog actually, if the dog actually gets loose, and when I say gets loose, I mean gets a little out of control and out of hand, and then you go back to the collar, it's probably going to take you a little longer to erase those thoughts in the dog's head that you really are in control. So if you use the collar and you use it very mildly and very easy in the beginning, like we recommend, you can avoid that time frame that the dog gets out of control for a couple of weeks. If you use that collar for 5 to 6, 7 weeks after you start transitioning this dog over to your household, you will just make what you want done in your commands muscle memory. That'll be the way that the dog thinks life works. If you don't use the collar and that dog gets out of control with you, then you got to go back to the collar. Like I said, you've got to then fight that time frame and erase that out of the dog's memory. So we like the collar. The collar is used very mildly and very easy, and it also allows you to be all positive and for smelling the ground or getting out in front of you or blowing a command off. If you touch the button, as soon as the dog gives you the proper response, you can give the praise. So therefore, you're not the bad guy. It's always doing this. You're not the bad guy. It's always doing this. You don't want to have to do that, any of it. We shape what we want with the leash. After we shape it with the leash, we go in there with the collar and we use the collar to enforce it, and it turns into just this or this. We'll walk them at heel. If they smell on the ground too much, we touch the button, their nose comes up, we pet them. We tell them to sit, they sit down. We'll walk them again if we stop, and we tell them to sit, and the squirrel runs through the yard, and they see the squirrel, and we touch the button on number 1, and they sit down because they got slightly distracted, we pet them. Well, the whole time that we did that, we were the good guy. We just gave a command, and we gave the praise for not doing the command because they were distracted, or because they said, well, maybe this time I'm going to see if I really don't have to do this command. The collar is the correction. It's not you jerking and pulling the leash. So anyway, just wanted to throw those things out there And then the rest of the video is going to be going over these different parts in deeper detail so that you can have a really good understanding on how to transition your dog through all the different commands. Okay, so when you're first working with a dog and walking a dog, your leash is what we would recommend that you use for heeling and sitting. When you take off, tell her to heel. She should walk by your left leg. And we recommend that you put some slack in your leash. If the dog's nose goes down, you simply bite the leash up a little bit. Jared's moving the leash now to the top of her neck, all the way right behind her ears. You don't want to walk the dog with a tight leash. You don't want her dragging you as you're walking. You want slack, and if the neck goes down, or if the dog gets in front, you simply do a little snake bite, little pop of the neck, to let the dog know, hey, that's not what we want. When we stop, we sit right there and we pet them. So Jared, this time, whenever she stops, twist to where she's sitting wrong.
I got you.
So he's going to set her up. He's going to make her veil here because we don't want the dog. That's right. If the dog sits like this right here, we would normally step forward, push him out of the way, get him centered up where we want him at, which you want the dog's chest and yours facing straight forward. Then we would praise him. All right, walk her some more. You're going to do this over and over and over and over and over and over without distractions. If a dog walks and sits at heel properly, then that dog is telling you you're in control. Which way do you want to go next? Whenever you stop this time, Jared, face me and have her sit wrong. Okay, so some people will come and do obedience sessions. Now adjust yourself. And they'll turn like this. Well, if you picture yourself walking down a sidewalk, every time you stop with your dog, if your dog's twisted, you're not fixing to walk across traffic. So now Jared's got to walk across the traffic. So whenever you stop with your dog, if they're twisted, you want to step and line your dog up to where you're going. Remember, you're walking your dog is not walking you. So we're walking in sitting at heel. Like I said, slacken your leash. If the dog's neck goes down, smell the ground. If they get out front, little bite in the leash. And you're going to turn left, you're going to turn right, you're going to walk forward. When you walk, you tell her to heel. Whenever you stop, she should automatically sit. The first couple times that you walk her, you're going to have to help her out and tell her, hey, even with me, you have to sit. Even with me, when I stop, you have to sit over and over and over. And then whenever you stop, she should stop and sit down. Okay, so this part of the video is going to be sit and stay in place. We don't use the word stay. Basically, as he steps out in front of the dog, he just tells him sit. And he's going to step back to the dog. Now, if the dog's trying to smell the ground, trying to look around, you're going to want to use your leash at first. Use that leash and give a little reverse bite. Right? Do it when you stand right there. Just like that right there. And the dog will know this. Well, the new person, the dog's going to try to see if he can get away with different things, smelling the ground, moving around a little bit. So stay right there by him and build it up to where you can stand in front of him for 30 seconds or a minute and then step back to the dog. Do it over and over and over. You want to build your time before your distance. You want to get it to where by day number 3, you can make that dog sit there for 2.5 minutes, and then you can step back to the dog. If you work on getting that time built up, then you can add distance and it won't be hard at all. At first, if you try to add the distance in there before the dog gets used to sitting there for a while, the dog's going to come to heel. So step to the side, Jared, or either back. As he goes to move, he's going to say sit, or either put his hand out and give a little gesture. Right as he goes to move, that way the dog understands, hey, I'm still doing this, everything is good. And then he's going to walk back to the dog. Now, maybe by day 7 or 8, if you've been working on this, you should easily by then be able to be 25 or 30 yards. Maybe then we would call the dog to us off of the sit and stay place. But we would do it 1 out of 20 times, to be honest. Getting the dog to come to you, you squat down a little bit, make a little bit of noise, and talk to them and get them excited. They'll come to you. That's what they've been doing for months and months, walking at your leg. So getting them to sit and stay there they'll be started on it. They won't be finished with it. Some people never ever use this. Some people expand this to where the dog lays underneath their desk for 5 hours at work. and the dog just stays right there. They get up and go get water or go to the bathroom or whatever. So we get it started where we can get about 10 steps away for roughly a minute and a half to 3 minutes, and then we walk back to the dog. So you can take this and you can build on this to whatever level fits your lifestyle and your dog's lifestyle and need. Okay, so the companion dogs that we send out, we do vehicle loading and riding with them as well. Basically, whenever they get by your vehicle, they're going to smell it and go, what is this? I don't know what this is. So an easy way to get them dogs to like a new vehicle is playing with the ball. This little dog here, he's a little bit overboard about it, but we bounce that ball around, let him play with the ball some. You roll it on your back floorboard, you set him in there. You don't just want to get him and all of a sudden, you know, he's going to be stuck in there forever and a day. So whenever if you come here and pick him up, we'll play with him some here in the parking lot before he goes. And then once you leave with him, and you stop at the rest area on your ride home, when you go back to the vehicle, you want to roll that ball around a little bit. You can roll it right on that back floorboard. Some people that come, if they got 8 or 10 hour ride, by the time they get home, they've stopped a couple times. The dog's loading right into the back of the truck with no problem. But don't be surprised if you try to walk him up to your vehicle and he smells it and backs up and goes, hey, what is that? So use that ball to help the dog. Once he gets in there, chasing the ball, a few times, you should be able to put the ball in your pocket and walk him up there. Just tell him, get in, kind of point your finger at the back seat. Jared tells his, load up. There you go. And the dog hops in. Now, as far as being inside of a crate or something in the vehicle, that's up to you. Most of these dogs just lay down on the back seat after a few minutes, kind of relax and go to sleep. If you want to carry him in a crate in the vehicle, once again, you put him in there, put him in his crate. Either way should be fine. The biggest thing is making sure that dog doesn't have a bad experience the first couple of times getting in and out of there. So if you got to play with him right there by the door a few times and help him in there a couple times, help him in a couple times. And before you know it, getting up there, and even once you get him in there, you can roll him the ball around on the back seat after they're in there. Either way, just want to make sure they have fun doing it. Okay, so we generally have 2 types of crates here that we work with the dogs. First crate is just your wire crate with a plastic bottom that slides in and out, and the other crate is an enclosed crate. If we're flying the dogs, the airlines will make us use the one on the left here. When we first start working with dogs inside of our office a lot, we have the open wire crates. So when the dogs leave as companion dogs, they're all crate trained. Our definition of crate training is going in the crate on command, staying in the crate even overnight without having bathroom accidents. We'll go over the routine. We'll have it in writing that we send over with a guide. Plus, we can also speak about the routine whenever you come and pick the dog up, or we send them to you as far as our crate work goes. In the beginning, we just get them used to going in and out of the crate. And then they start to stay in the crate for 10 minutes, and 20 minutes, and 30 minutes, and we build it and build it and build it. When a dog goes home, the main thing as far as going in the crate is going to be that when you first walk him up there the first couple times, if he tries not to go in the crate, put your 2 fingers behind that leash and help him in that crate. If he tries not to go into that crate, you use your fingers and you let him know, hey, when I say kennel or crate, you have to go in. You can roll your ball around in there and play about like the vehicle, but after you do that a couple times, if he tries to bounce around and play in the living room and not go in the crate, you're going to want to use your fingers right behind his leash there and just help him into the crate. I would make sure that the first couple days when I put him into there, I use my leash. That will ensure that he understands I can't run around and goof off with this guy when he tells me to get in my crate. I have to get in there. As far as the crate time and staying in the crate and bathroom breaks, if the dog in the morning time, usually we would take them out. They would be put on a tie out to where they have room to go to the bathroom. We would water and feed them there. Then we would do their session. We would put them back on the tie out. And after they're on that tie out for 15 to 20 minutes, go to the bathroom. Then we would bring them back to the crate. Back inside the office for their free time. And whenever we're done with their free time, they would go in the crate. So it is wake up in the morning in the crate, go to the tie out, eat and drink, go to the bathroom. From there, we do our work. We go to the tie out for a few minutes after the work, because if they get excited from doing the work, then they calm down. A lot of them will go to the bathroom. So once we've been on the tie out for 15 more minutes, then we come into the house for our free time. The free time may be 10 minutes, it may be 45 minutes. As long as you can keep an eye on that dog inside, the free time inside is as long as you would like. If you're going to go get in the shower or do laundry or do anything and not pay attention to the dog, I would recommend the dog goes in the crate. Then when the dog comes out of that crate, 20 minutes or 2 hours later, the dog goes outside to the tie out and then back inside after they've been on the tie out. If you walk outside with that dog, the dog's going to stay at your left leg. So in the very beginning, there needs to be something outside, even if it's a temporary tie out. You can get the little screw pegs that screw into the ground from one of the little Dollar Trees. Very cheap, $10, $12, screw it into the ground where the dog can be tied out in one little area. If you got a certain area in your backyard, you want the dog to go to the bathroom, you can put that tie out in that certain area. If you're out there with them, they're going to hang out with you and want to do something with you. You're going to bring them inside. As soon as you turn your back, they're going to go to the bathroom. So some people also have an outside kennel area. Some people have a fenced-in backyard. The biggest thing is the dog is going to need some time out there by themselves so that they can go and do their business, and then you come out and bring them in. If you get on the back porch or you through the back door watching the dog as they're going to the potty, you come out the back door, you put a command with it. Each time they're doing it over and over for a few days and pet them as they're doing it, well, then you'll be able to walk them out there and give them the command, and they'll go on command. So one more time, it is from the crate in the morning time, out to the tie out to eat, drink, go to the bathroom, then some morning workout. After the morning workout, we're going to go back to the tie out or our containment area outside. From there, we come inside. We're free for a little while inside. That can be 10 minutes. It can be 2 hours. Depends on what you have the time to spend watching the dog and making sure he's doing. After you're not paying attention to him, he needs to go back into the crate. Whenever he leaves that crate, he immediately goes outside, then back into the house for his free time. In the beginning, it's 80% crate time, 20% or 10% free time, 10% outside time, and all you do is you flip his free time with his crate time to where eventually he's only in the crate 10% of the time and he's free 80% of the time, and 10% of the time is outside bathroom work.
All right, so we want to do a little instructional video on how we do the down work with our dogs, especially after they go home. The dogs will get to a certain point where they're working really, really well for their handler here, but you're going to have to work on that at home with your dog to get them to work for you as well as they do for us. And if you're working on the down work, this is how you're going to do it. I'm going to have them walk with me a little bit, and we're going to stop and I'll down it. Yep. I'm slipping my lead on because in the beginning, whenever you get your dog home, you're going to have the leash on your dog also. But whenever you stop, he should sit down. Now I'm going to pull my leash downwards, and I'm going to kind of give him a little tug and tell him down. Down. I use my right hand to kind of give him a signal. Down. Like that. And whenever you get home with your dog, down. It's very common
He'll already know down, but Jared's backing up to show you how to make sure to get him to do it for you.
That's right, that's right. And once you get him home and you're doing the down work with him, it's very common for a dog working for someone who they're not used to working for to want to follow that person back up. When you lean down and tell him down, and then you stand back up, they'll want to follow you up. If that's the case with your dog, you'll make them down, and then while you're down there, you'll kind of slip the lead underneath your toe. And that way you can hold them in place a little bit. Then you'll praise them up, and take them for a short walk.
We've actually had people that can bring their dogs to work, teach their dog to down, and we'll step on that lead inside the office while we're sitting at our desk and make them lay there 10 and 15 minutes, and they'll go right to work with someone and lay on their desk for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours.
So right there, I felt like Slater was going to follow me back up whenever I went to stand back up. So I just hold him down again as I was standing back up. I'm past the point of having to hold him down with that lead. He does this completely off lead. But we just want to kind of get you a little instructional video going, showing you how you can work on this at home.
Okay, so this part of the video is going to be distractions. In the beginning, you're going to stay in your backyard or somewhere where there's very few distractions until that dog really starts to get used to you. Week and a half, somewhere in there. And then when you go towards distractions, the main thing at first, you know, I use that subdivision scenario where if you live in a subdivision, the first day you might only make it past 2 houses, the next day 4 houses, the next day 8 houses. But after you walk him outside towards distractions for, you know, 6 days or so, somewhere in there, you should be able to walk a mile if you want to. But when you first go towards distractions, if you can see here, this Great Dane is circling Jared and Slater, and he's like maybe 25, 30 steps, and now he's maybe 15 steps. When you first go towards distractions, this is what you're going to want to do. You want to get slowly closer and closer to your only, you know, 5 steps away. Now the Great Dane's probably going to pull. He just came in for training, but the little black dog with Jared, the Slater dog, he should do really well with it. The biggest thing is that Jared didn't just take off walking and put him straight nose to nose to where the distractions was a whole lot right off the bat. You can use your neighbor's dog barking through the back fence. You can use all kind of stuff. The biggest thing to remember is that at first, with no distractions, you want to get this stuff solid. And then when you do distractions, you want to start at a distance and just get closer and closer. And Jared just used the button there, bumped the button and said, "Nope, we got to walk at the heel, buddy." And the dog's tail's going. He's okay with it. But if you let that dog keep going, he's going to go over there and try and smell and play and everything else. So while you're walking down the road or through the neighborhood or whatever, you want to be able to walk your dog and your dog not get super excited and go rambunctious and crazy every time he sees a distraction dog. And you can see here, he's okay. He's walking with Jared. He's got some tail wag. He's like, okay, first time I tried to smell him and go over there and I got in a little bit of trouble, but it's okay now. I'm walking right with you. So now he's walking right there by him up. And that's it. I mean, that's not anything wrong with that there. The dogs smell each other's nose, but I wouldn't let them drag you over there. And Jared touched the button and Slater went right back to heel. Walking by one more time, Jared. So the biggest thing with the distraction part is don't put them immediately face to face with the distraction. Start at a little bit of a distance and then get closer and closer. That's probably a step and a half between the two of them. He walked right with Jared with his tail wagging. He said, "Yep, I know what I'm supposed to do here, so we're just going to walk right with him."